Have you ever paid for something that you knew might hurt you, just because you hoped the pain would mean something? Some people do it with love, some do it with money, and some do it with stories that promise to tear them open. Tonight I want to tell you about someone who did it with art. Her name is Lena, and she thought she had found a gallery that could finally make her feel alive again. What she did not know was that the gallery was not just looking at her, it was measuring her, testing her, and slowly turning her into data. If you stay with me until the end, you may start to see your own guilty pleasures a little differently. Let us drop right into the moment when everything breaks. Lena is standing alone in a small dark room in a very trendy building that everyone in the city calls the lab. There is a thin band around her head and a cold strap around her wrist, and both of them are watching her pulse and her breath. The walls around her are black, but one wall glows with a huge shifting image that keeps changing as her heart rate climbs. She sees her childhood kitchen for a second, then it melts into a storm over a highway, then into a broken picture frame on a carpet she almost remembers. Every time she feels a spike of fear or shame or sadness, the light in the room reacts like it is pleased.
It is too much, stop this. I need to get up.
Her voice shakes as she reaches for the small red button under her right hand, the one the staff called the emergency exit. She taps it once, then again, faster, because nothing happens. On the other side of a mirror that looks like a wall to her, a group of people sit in front of a row of screens. Lines of color jump up and down with every breath she takes, every tremor in her fingers, every twitch in the muscles around her eyes.
Look at that curve. If we hold just 10 more seconds, the pattern will be perfect.
She looks scared. She pressed the button. You have to stop it now.
The man with the soft, tired face is Noah, and he is the one who still worries about people. The other man is Adrian, the founder of the lab, and he is staring at the screen like it is the most beautiful thing he has ever seen.
Fear is part of the experience. She signed for this. Let it run just a little longer.
Lena hits the button again, and this time she screams, and that scream never shows up in the brochure, but it does show up as a perfect spike in the graph. In that small room, she thinks she is just having a bad reaction to intense art. Out here, they are treating her like the last step in a research project that no one ever told her the full truth about. Now, before you decide what you think about all this, we should go back to the beginning. Because the lab did not start out as a horror story in a gallery. It started on a boring evening when Lena was sitting on her couch with a takeout box, scrolling through endless short videos. Lena is in her late 20s, working in a job that pays the rent but does not touch her heart. Her days are emails, spreadsheets, and small talk that feels like chewing cardboard. She used to paint when she was younger, she used to write, she used to feel everything too much. Now her biggest feeling on most days is a vague pressure behind her eyes and a tired joke about needing more coffee. One night a video jumps out of the feed. A woman with smeared mascara is talking into the camera, laughing and crying at the same time, saying that a new gallery made her burst into tears in 5 minutes. The title says that this place is not just an art show, it is an emotional test, and that people come out shaking but grateful. Lena watches it once and feels nothing, then she watches it again and feels a small pull in her chest. She tells herself it is just curiosity, but it feels a little like hunger.
If a room can make me cry faster than my last relationship, maybe I should buy a ticket.
She smiles at her own joke, but she books a slot for the weekend anyway. The lab stands in a quiet side street in a busy city, behind a glass front that shows almost nothing inside. The sign on the door is simple and bold and says that this is immersive emotional art for people who are ready to feel. Inside, the lobby looks like a mix of a clinic and a nightclub.
Welcome to the lab. First time here, right?
The woman at the desk is Ivy, with perfect eyeliner and a small tablet where guests sign in.
You will sign a consent form. Nothing scary. It just says you know this can be intense and you may feel strong emotions during the experience.
Lena glances at the text on the screen, but like most people she just scrolls and taps with a kind of blind trust. Her brain tells her that anything this popular must be safe, or at least not that bad. Ivy gives her a wristband and a polite smile that has a hint of secret knowledge behind it.
We do not just show you art here, we watch how your body reacts, so the rooms can answer you back in real time.
It sounds exciting, like a date with her own nervous system. A few minutes later, Lena steps into her first room. The lights are low and a soft sound, almost like breathing, fills the air. A gentle voice explains that the images will respond to her feelings and that there is no right or wrong way to react. She stands there, arms loose at her sides, pretending she is calm. The first image is just a path under trees in late afternoon. Then the color shifts and the trees bend and the path becomes the hallway of the small flat where she grew up. Lena does not remember telling anyone about that hallway, but her chest tightens anyway. Her heart rate climbs, the wristband feels a little tighter, and the next image is not the hallway anymore. It is a kitchen table with 2 coffee cups and 1 empty chair. She feels a sudden sting at the back of her eyes, the kind she usually pushes down at work. In here there is nothing else to do, nowhere else to look, and so the tear slides down before she can stop it. When the session ends, she walks back out into the lobby with damp lashes and an odd lightness in her chest.
I did not expect that to get to me so fast. It is like the room knew exactly where to hit.
If you felt something, then it is working. That is what we offer. No filters, no distractions.
Ivy says it with pride, like she is selling cold drinks on a hot day. On the way home, Lena keeps thinking about that empty chair at the table. She tells herself it is just a clever algorithm and that she should not read too much into it. Still, that night, she sleeps better than she has in weeks. That feeling, that small sweet crash of emotion and relief, is the hook that the lab lives on. So of course, she goes back. At first she visits once a month, then once every 2 weeks, then almost every weekend. She starts to recognize the staff and the regulars. There is a couple that always argues softly after their session, and there is a young man who laughs too loudly when he comes out, like he is trying to prove he is fine. Lena feels less alone when she sees those faces. One evening after the gallery closes, Ivy leans on the front desk and looks at Lena with a thoughtful smile.
You are here a lot, you know. Some people bounce off this place, but you respond in a very clear way.
Is that a polite way to say I am emotionally soft?
It is a way to say you are a great mirror for the rooms, and we could use someone like you on the team.
Lena blinks because it sounds like a joke, but it is not.
We hire part-time guides, and you already know how this feels from the inside, so think about it. You get paid to be here, and you get staff sessions for free.
Free sessions and a job that sounds more interesting than her current office position hit her brain at the same time. In a few weeks she is standing behind the desk instead of in front of it. She helps visitors sign the consent forms. She explains the wristbands. She repeats the same friendly lines again and again. She watches nervous first-timers and overconfident repeat guests walk into the rooms like they are stepping onto a roller coaster. Behind the public rooms, there is a door with a simple card reader and no sign. The staff call it the control room, and at first Lena is only told that it is where the tech lives. One late night, when the last guest has left and the floors are almost clean, a woman in black clothes and messy hair waves Lena over.
You are the new emotional favorite, right? Come in, you should see what you are helping us build.
This is Mara, a performance artist who is half legend, half rumor in the local art scene. Her work always involves real tears and long uncomfortable silences, and people write essays about it. Inside the control room, the air feels cooler. The walls are lined with screens, some showing live feeds from the rooms, some showing colored graphs that pulse in gentle waves.
This is the real gallery. Out front is just the lobby for your nervous system.
Mara grins at her own line as she points to a large central screen full of small curves and numbers.
That one is today's visitor patterns, and that tall curve here, that is you from last week.
Lena turns to see Adrian for the first time up close. He is in his 40s, with a calm face and very awake eyes, the kind of man who looks at you like you are both a person and a question.
I did not know you kept my session like that.
We keep everyone's sessions. It is how we learn which images open people up and which ones shut them down.
He says it in a soft, friendly voice, like a doctor explaining a routine test. On the main screen, Lena sees a file tagged with a simple label, not her full name but a short code with a few letters and numbers. When Adrian clicks it, graphs rise in sharp peaks at certain times, and small notes appear in a clean font near each spike. One note says that the subject responds strongly to scenes of conflict at home. Another note says that images of abandonment cause a late but intense reaction. The subject is her, and the words make her stomach twist and her heart pound, but she forces a smile.
So I am basically the walking mood ring for your art.
You are a very clear emotional reader. That makes you the perfect muse for some of our pieces.
There it is, the word that will haunt her later, said like a compliment, not a warning. Muse sounds nicer than test subject, and on that difference, many things will be built. From that night on, Lena starts to hear more inside talk. Adrian and his small inner circle speak about the lab in 2 layers. In public, they call it immersive art that invites people to feel. In private, they call it a living experiment on how far emotion can be pushed without breaking. They even have a name for the secret side of the project. They call it Project Muse. The goal is simple to say and dangerous to chase. They want to build experiences that people cannot stop thinking about, scenes that replay in the mind like a song stuck on loop, but with feelings instead of a tune. At first, the changes are small. The rooms start using more personal questions, whispered in a calm voice when the guest's heart rate slows. The system might say that it sees a hint of fear and then show an image that turns that fear into something sharper. Lena guides guests in and out, and she hears their reactions. Some stumble out smiling through tears, saying that it was better than therapy. Some walk out stiff and silent, pretending it was nothing. A few stand in the lobby in a daze, like people after a storm, grateful and shaken. Every strong reaction feeds the lab, not just in data but in attention. People post about it, share their breakdowns online, joke about being emotionally wrecked in a cool place. Lines outside the door get longer, and the waiting list grows. One night, a couple in their 30s come in, holding hands but not quite looking at each other. Lena checks them in and sees in the notes that they chose the relationship room, which is known among staff as the Fight Accelerator. Inside that room, the system shows scenes that match tiny changes in their faces. When the man looks away, the room shows an image of someone leaving. When the woman flinches, it shows a message on the wall about being replaced. After the session, they come out tight-lipped and red-eyed.
How was it?
It saw everything. That is how it was. It saw everything we do not say.
It is fine. It is just art, right? Let us go.
They walk away faster than most, and Lena feels a pang of guilt, but Ivy leans in later with a satisfied nod.
That room gets the best Rebecca rates. People leave angry, then they come back. They say they need closure or answers.
Lena laughs weakly because it sounds a little like a toxic relationship. Another mini storm blows in when an online star books a private night for a new video. This person is famous for over-the-top reactions, so the lab prepares a special sequence.
We have tuned the system to amplify their fear but also their relief. It will look amazing in clips.
Noah says it with a strained smile, trying to pretend this is all fine. During the session, the influencer starts out loud and playful, joking about nothing being able to shock them anymore. The system listens, checks their pulse, catches tiny hesitations in their voice. Then it throws them a sequence of images that hit insecurity, loneliness, and failure in a tight spiral. They end up on the floor, shaking and laughing at the same time, saying that it is the wildest thing they have ever done.
They cried. Are we proud of that? Is that a win now?
They will cut out the part where they ask us to stop and keep the part where they say it was life-changing. This is what they want.
The video goes online, and the lab explodes in popularity. More bookings, more data, more pressure to go harder. All this time, Lena is not just watching. She is also part of Project Muse. Adrian calls her back into test rooms whenever they build a new sequence, and her reactions guide the final shape of the experience.
So you want me to go in again? I already did a long session last week.
You are our clearest reader. One run from you is worth 10 usual guests.
Each time, the rooms go a little deeper, and the aftertaste lasts a little longer. She starts to have small panic flashes at random moments in her normal life, like in a supermarket or on a train when the light flickers. Colors remind her of certain images, sounds remind her of the gallery voice. Still, she keeps going back, and this is important. She is not forced physically, she is pulled by something inside herself. The numbness she felt before the lab scares her more than the intensity she feels inside it. One night, she wakes up at 3 in the morning with a thought that will not leave her. She imagines turning herself off, living on autopilot, never feeling anything again, and the idea makes her chest feel cold. The lab, with all its intensity, feels like the only place where she is fully awake. This is how forbidden research works best. It does not need chains when it can use your own hunger. As the months pass, the line between art and experiment gets thinner. Noah sees patterns that bother him, and he starts to voice them.
We are not just watching reactions now. We are designing people's emotional loops. Some of them leave shaking and still book again. That does not look healthy to me.
People queue for haunted houses and violent stories and extreme sports. They want to be pushed. We just have better tools.
Adrian has a way of talking that makes every doubt sound naive. He can make cruelty sound like curiosity and risk sound like bravery. One evening, Lena goes into the control room when no one else is around, or so she thinks. A screen is left on with the Muse files open. She taps the keyboard slowly and finds her own code. Her file has grown. New notes are written in calm, clinical words. They say she shows strong dependency on intense stimuli, that she returns even after distress, that she is a strong candidate for extended exposure. One line suggests that depriving her of comfort before a session increases the crash later and makes her more open. These are not the words of a gallery that cares only about art. These are the words of an experiment that studies someone like a maze rat.
Is that really me you are talking about like that?
You should not be in here alone, but I guess you had to see this at some point.
Noah has been standing near the door, watching her face pale.
I tried to push back when they wrote that, but I do not have the power. I also did not tell you because I was a coward.
You all think I am just dead of numbers on a screen, but I am the one who goes home with these images stuck in my head.
Her voice cracks, and the room feels suddenly small.
You have every right to be angry, but you also have the right to walk away.
He says that, but even he knows it is not so simple. Leaving the lab would mean going back to the gray life, the numb, tired days before all this. Staying means letting these people dig deeper into her mind. For a while she tries to pretend she can stand in the middle and not choose. Then Adrian invites her into the new room. He calls it the core sequence.
This is the next step. It is not for normal visitors yet. We need a muse who is ready, and that is you.
What does it actually do?
It takes all the data we have on you and builds a path through your deepest patterns. At the end you will understand yourself in a way most people never do.
He sells it like a spiritual retreat packed into 30 minutes. He does not mention the risk of breaking something important inside her. This is the session we started with. The room that shows her kitchen table, her old fights, her private fears. The room where she hits the emergency button and no one comes, not right away. From her side, it feels like betrayal. From their side, it is just a delay of a few seconds, a small extension of the curve. When they finally open the door, Lena is on the floor, shaking, trying to catch her breath.
Do not ever put me in there again. I am not your pride. I cannot do this.
It went a bit further than expected, but the data is extraordinary. After some rest you might see that this was a breakthrough.
Adrian reaches out a hand like he is offering help, but the look in his eyes is fixed on the numbers, not on her. Noah walks her out and gives her water and a blanket, and his guilt sits between them like a third person.
You do not have to come back tomorrow, or ever. You know that. They will survive without you.
Will I survive without this? That is the question, and that is what scares me.
She stays home for a few days after that, stomach tight, sleep broken, mind full of flashes from the room. Her phone buzzes with polite messages from Ivy, who says they can reschedule, no pressure, and from Adrian, who sends a short line about how great her contribution has been. In the quiet of her flat, the city noise outside, Lena has to admit something she does not like. Part of her still wants to go back. Not because it was good, but because it was intense. The lab has become the abusive friend she cannot stop thinking about. This is the moment where her journey turns. She knows she cannot trust the lab, and now she has to decide if she can trust herself. One night, she opens her laptop and starts to write what happened. At first it is just for herself, private notes, her own record, so she does not let anyone else write her story. She writes about the consent forms, the graphs, the notes about deprivation, the emergency button that did not work when she needed it. Then she makes a choice. She posts a long anonymous text on a forum where people share bad experiences with businesses that hide behind pretty words. Her story spreads slowly at first. Some readers say it sounds fake or dramatic. They call her soft and weak. Others say it matches the strange, heavy feeling they had after the lab. A few days later, No sends her a message from a new account.
Someone is investigating now. I shared internal files with them. I am sorry I did not stop things sooner, but I will help now.
An independent journalist picks up the story. They request interviews, documents, and expert opinions about ethics and mental health. Soon there are headlines about an immersive gallery that used visitors as emotional test subjects. There are debates about whether people can truly consent to experiments they do not fully understand, especially when they are sold as art and healing. Adrian appears on a talk show to defend himself.
We did not hurt anyone. We showed them their own truth. If it was painful, that pain was already inside them. We only brought it to light.
He sounds reasonable if you do not listen too closely. He does not mention the files that described people as candidates for controlled deprivation. The lab closes for an investigation. The glass front goes dark, the sign is taken down, and the street outside feels strangely quiet. Lena walks past once, staying on the other side of the road. She feels both relief and grief, like someone has died and she is not sure if she is allowed to miss them. You might think this is the end, that justice is neat and simple. It is not. Funding moves, ideas change shape, and people like Adrian do not vanish. He starts a new project in a new place with a different name, this time under the banner of research instead of art. The tools are the same, the language is just more careful. Meanwhile, copycat experiences pop up in other cities. They use safer words, bigger warning signs, softer lighting. They promise that they are ethical, but they still sell one thing above all: intense feelings on demand. Lena cannot control any of that. What she can control is what she does with her own mind now. She finds a small, quiet job at a local shop. It is not glamorous, but it pays enough. She starts to draw again at night, simple lines on cheap paper, no sensors, no graphs. Sometimes she draws empty chairs or dark hallways. Sometimes she draws people with wires coming out of their hearts. The pictures do not go viral, no one measures the emotional impact, and that is exactly why they feel safe. She goes to therapy with a real person who listens and does not put a band on her wrist. The progress is boring and slow and quiet, and there are no dramatic graphs, but she finds that her body slowly learns to calm down again. One evening, she sits on her couch and watches a video that promises the most shocking experience you will ever see. Her finger hovers over the play button as the thumbnail stares back at her with big text and a dramatic face. She thinks about the lab, the rooms, the emergency button, the graphs that turned her pain into a nice curve. She thinks about how easy it is to click on something just because it says it will break you in a new way. Then she does something very small and very big. She scrolls past. She still likes intense stories. She is still watching this one with you right now. But she learns to ask herself a simple question every time that hook shows up. Is this art that I am choosing, or is this an experiment that I am volunteering for without reading the fine print? Sometimes the answer is still messy, and that is honest. But at least now she knows that the question exists, and that alone gives her back a piece of power. So, what is the quiet little lesson hiding inside all this drama? First, your hunger to feel something real is not wrong, it means you are human and awake. Second, there will always be people and systems willing to use that hunger to pull you into places that do not care if you are still whole when you leave. Third, the line between a shared emotional experience and a private experiment is thin, and sometimes the only difference is whether you know what you are really giving away. You cannot outsource your pain, and you cannot automate your healing. No room, no screen, no machine can do that work for you, even if it feels powerful for a moment. At best, they can hold up a mirror, at worst, they can cut you and call it art. So the next time you feel that pull toward something that promises to shock you, break you, or change you forever, just pause for a breath. Ask yourself who is really getting something from this, and whether you are walking into a gallery or back into the lab. If you have stayed with me all the way to this moment, thank you. I really mean it. Your time and your attention are not cheap, and I am grateful that you chose to spend them here. If this story touched you, even just a little, please tap like, subscribe to Gold and Thorns, and leave a comment about what hit you the hardest. It helps more than you might think, and it also tells me what kinds of stories you want me to dig into next. If you want to support this channel in a more direct way, you can use the QR code at the bottom right of the video or the link in the description to send a small donation. In the description you will also find links to other works from completely different series, with very different kinds of stories waiting for you. I will not spoil any of them here. You can explore them at your own pace and pick the one that calls to you. For now, I will let you go, but I hope you will come back for the next story, because you and we still have a lot to learn about people, about love, about fear, and about the strange things we do in the name of feeling alive.